But now we're going to talk about actually doing some code with the player. So the first thing we're going to implement is health. So you want to open up your object player here, and inside every object has the exact same 3 panels. So we have the stuff on the very far left side. This is all the information. Like we have the name, object player. We have the sprite. This is the image that it has. So if you click this little drop down box here, you can pick any image you want to set for it. So if I want my player to be the enemy sprite, but generally we can just keep it on the sprite player. That should be fine. All of these other settings here, which we will not be using right now. And then we can go over to the next tab, which is the events. So these events are things that happen in game that the game can process, and then it'll run the code inside of it. So for example, the create event is pretty self-explanatory. It's when the object is created. So it's at the very start of every level. So once this is created, it's going to run the exact same code here. It's going to set move speed to 4, HSP, VSP. So this is just variable initialization. This means that we're creating essentially move speed, which is an empty box. And inside of that box, we're going to put the number 4. That means every time we want to actually use this number now, we can just look for the box instead of looking for the exact number. So now we're going to make a new box. We're going to make a new variable, HP equals 10. So now it's saying you want your player's health to start off at 10. After that, we're going to set a variable called max HP because we want our player to be able to regen, and we're going to set that equal to HP. And the reason I'm setting this equal to HP is that because we're already setting this other variable, max HP, to have the exact same things as that's inside HP, max HP will automatically be set to equal to 10. So we can just hit the green arrow, save your changes, and that's done now. Now we can go to our step event. So inside of our step event, we have all of this code here, but we're going to ignore all of that. We want to go to the very bottom of everything. So add a couple of spaces in here. And then we're going to want to do what's called an if statement. So this is checking if something is true, it'll run the code inside of it. So we're going to be doing if HP is less than or equal to 0. So if we look at what this actually does, we have an if statement here, and we're going to check if our variable, our box, if the box contains a number that's less than or equal to 0. Now when you're doing these symbols in the middle, it always has to be 2 of them. So you can have to do HP equals 0 if you wanted to see if it's at 0 exactly. It has to be greater than equal to 0 or greater than 0. But when you're doing it equal signs, you always have to have 2 of them. Now GameMaker is a little bit more lenient on this. You can have 1 of them, but if you're planning to go on to do other programming languages, this is just good habit. So HP is less than or equal to 0. And if it is, which means the player should be dead, we want to room_restart, which restarts the room, obviously. And that way it's like if your health runs out, the level resets itself, and then you can try again. This code can always be replaced with, like, if you want to go to a game over screen, or if you want the player to die and then respawn somewhere else, if you want to do an animation. But for now, super simply, what happens is the room just restarts itself, and then you can do everything again. Now, there's one issue with this that we might run into later, but for now, this should work perfectly fine. So now if we hit OK and we run our game, we should see nothing should change at all because we really haven't done anything, right? The player just now knows, okay, so now I just have to hold an extra box called HP. It's set to 10, right? If I die, the room resets itself. I'm going to respawn up here. But there's nothing to actually do damage to our player. So let's do that now.